Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are the Owatonna School Board. This is Monday. It's the 24th of August. It's 5:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Ask Eric to take the roll call.
Mark,
I am here.
Nikki,
Here.
Tim,
Here.
Jolene,
Here.
Christina,
Here.
Lori,
Here.
Daniela,
Here.
and I myself is here. So all seven members and the student rep.
Terrific. Thank you, folks. First thing we would do is ask you to please rise and join us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up tonight would be to approve the agenda as presented. Does anybody have any questions or need to make any changes with regard to the agenda?
So
Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Eric, would you do the vote for us, please?
Certainly. Nikki,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Jolene,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and I'm myself and I. 7-0 pass.
Thanks, Eric. That motion carries. Up next would be our mission moment. I'll turn things over to Mr. Elstad.
There we are. Okay, thank you very much. Tonight's mission moment actually is something that's been happening for a long time, but has probably become more prominent here in the last 6 months. And it's really highlighting our student nutrition staff. And I know that we have a couple of individuals joining us tonight, but I wanted to start by just saying, you know, last March, when we were asked to turn to the school district for community services, one of those viable and vital community services was providing nutrition for our students. And we fed anyone that was up to age 18 for free in our community. And if I could go back and look at the numbers, I think I reported to you in an earlier meeting that I believe we served just about 100,000 meals during that time up until the end of school. Not only did they do that, but this summer, we saw again an uptick in the number of families that were requiring the meals to go or grab and go things within our district. And we served more than 55,000 meals this summer to our families as well. It's triple what we served in the summer of 2019, which again really just points to the fact that it's a vital service for our community. We know that certainly hungry bellies don't always equal learning minds. And so making sure our kids are fed and getting the nutrition that they need is certainly a vital service. And at this point, I would like to actually call upon Sarah Brooks, who is our Director of Student Nutrition, to just provide a few comments to the board, if she would.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here today. I cannot thank the team of Nutrition Services for making this all happen. There were so many aspects that went into completely upending our program in March. Everything changed as far as our menus go, as far as how we provided meals to the students, what that looked like as far as not just the menus, but putting everything into to-go containers. That's something we've never done before. And we were able to pull that off with smiles on our faces, a couple laughs here and there. It's quite interesting to have the meal just go flying in the wind, but you just take it and you run with it, and you have a good time knowing that your families are coming there each day. You get to know your regulars. Even over our summer, we were really fortunate to be able to see continuous faces throughout the summer. So we were very fortunate to be able to provide a service to our community members, both during COVID, over the summer, and then in the fall again. We're getting geared up to see what this next adventure is going to bring us, as this will not be business as usual, but we're looking forward to the upcoming adventure.
I'd like to add, if I may, before we go any further, we have been so fortunate and we have benefited so greatly from the leadership of Sarah. If you remember, Sarah was here in a previous role, and we had our previous student nutrition director leave the district, and Sarah stepped into a role. And wow, to watch her leadership skills just emerge right in front of us. I'm so pleased and proud of the work that Sarah's done, as well as bringing in Chrissy McIntyre, who has really stepped up to serve in that role, as well as just providing the support that Sarah needs, as well as the entire student nutrition team. And again, I would tell you that Sarah, there's not a barrier that she can't overcome, because she's innovative and she finds new and interesting ways to solve problems. And so truly a mission moment. We talk about safe and caring community. Boy, Student Nutrition really stepped up to that commitment to our community. So at this point, I'd love to open it up to board members that might have questions or comments.
I have one, Sarah. Can you just speculate as to why the threefold increase from 19 to 20, the summertime? Do you have any ideas as to the why it increased so dramatically?
Yes, I've got a couple ideas. I don't know what for sure was the kicker. One of the reasons that I think some of this uptick happened is because of COVID-19, especially in the spring, the USDA had issued waivers that allowed us to serve a little bit differently outside of our normal. Some of those waivers include that parents were able to pick up meals without their children being present when that's normally a requirement, as well as we're able to bundle multiple meals together. So for instance, instead of giving out lunch at 12 o'clock and then breakfast at 8 o'clock, we were able to bundle not only breakfast and lunch in one bag, but also providing multiple days worth of meals. This was intended to reduce the burden on families from having to come visit us multiple times a day and multiple times a week. So that way we were able to provide them that service in a more conducive package to make it convenient for them. So those were the kind of the big reasons I think that we saw that major increase, because it was more convenient for our families, which was why the USDA chose to do those waivers.
Maybe, I appreciate that. Thank you. Do you know, did we do to-go meals in the past? Maybe I missed that detail. Or did people have to come and sort of sit down at a location and eat?
Yes, so as part of the USDA, who is the one who kind of regulates our program, in addition to the Minnesota Department of Education, they do require that students or children are present at the meal service and they must eat their meal at that location. The reason being it is the program is meant for students that are most in need and have a true hunger. And in order to make sure we're really servicing those students, they do require that the student be there. So that way we can ensure that we're serving our population that's intended. However, with a pandemic, it's not worth that risk. And they wanted to be conscious of families' health over knowing that we're feeding those students, because so many are in need more than they were in the past.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Board members, any other questions? Hearing none, Sarah, again, on behalf of the board as well as the community, just the logistical infrastructure that you built out in a very short period of time, we just cannot overlook the reality that there are still hungry kids in our community, and just the undertaking that you had to make sure that these kids still had access to good nourishment. And I know that you get in a routine of, what time the van leaves for the various schools with the meals being prepped, and it was a completely different way of delivering those meals. And congratulations for having done it as successfully as you did. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. I've enjoyed the challenge. It may have been a little bit stressful, but I would never have changed a moment going through it. I love a challenge.
Terrific. Sarah, thank you. Next item on our agenda tonight would be public forum. And tonight, in fact, we do have a public comment that a community member has offered and submitted. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad, who will read that comment for us.
Yeah, we haven't had many public comments. So just as a quick reminder, during a health pandemic, the Minnesota School Board Association and statute provides an opportunity for board members to meet virtually. However, without being able to have public present because of the potential health risk, they do allow the superintendent to read all public comments to the board as they were cited within the notation that was sent by the particular constituent of the community. So within that, tonight, I'm reading public forum from a gentleman named John Roddy, John, last name Roddy. John resides at 600 12th Street Southeast in Owatonna. The email that John's passed on reads like this: Good evening, members of the school board and others present. At what age and in what classes or seminars is social justice white privilege, whiteness, white fragility, systemic racism, gender fluidity, intersectionality, and/or alternative knowledge systems being taught. I sincerely appreciate your time and want to thank you for all of your hard work in trying to create the best learning environment possible for our students. End of note.
Okay, and as always with public comment, I want to thank Mr. Roddy for writing in, asking that, and as always, to the best of his abilities, Mr. Elstad will do his very best to answer those questions as you have presented them. We're going to move on now to item 6, discussion items, nothing that would be requiring action by the board. And we would start with board forum. And as each of you appear on my screen, I'll go around the horn. Eric, I will start with you.
We've seen an updated rendering today of the future high school, and it looks awesome.
Thank you, Eric. Jolene, anything tonight? Lori, how about you? Tim? Danielle?
Hi guys. I'm just ready for school to start back up again. I will be taking online classes. So I'll just see how that goes. Hopefully, I'm very excited to get back into learning.
Thanks, Danielle. Nikki, how about you? I'll take that. That's a no. You're shaking your head no, weren't you? Well,
That's a no, thanks.
okay, thank you. Christina?
Nope, I don't have anything today.
Okay, thank you. My only quick item for board forum tonight is that the candidate filing period for school board closed on August 11th. We do in fact have 2 of our existing board members that have filed. That would be Eric Schuster and Tim Jensen. In addition to those 2, there are 3 individuals that have also submitted their names. Dom Corbel, Abdullahi Osman, and Deborah Bandel have all submitted their names as well. So we would have 5 people vying for those 3 positions. That's my quick update. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad for his administrative report.
Thank you, Chair Sebring. Members of the board, I have a couple of things I'd like to mention tonight as part of just an overall administrative report. And as I mentioned in my specific superintendent's report, we have been extremely busy preparing for the start of our school year, and that probably is a lighter taken comment. We have been putting in some long hours to try to release what we believe is what we're calling our Safe Start plan for the district and our community. And so what I'd like to tell you is that the team, the cabinet team, as well as our principal team, have been working long and hard to figure out all of the logistics and what I would call some of the gymnastics of trying to provide the Safe Start plan. Just a quick reminder that based upon the guidance from the Minnesota Department of Health and Minnesota Department of Education, we are starting with our pre-K through 5th grade students in-person learning. And we are also then with our grades 6 through 12 students starting in hybrid learning. Just as a quick overview of the plan, we have taken the initial steps to make sure that we are providing already hybrid-like environment for our elementary students, in that we have some smaller class sizes. We have also instituted social distancing within our classrooms already. And then so those students will be attending Monday through Friday. The school day has been altered just a bit, and those times were communicated with parents as well to accommodate a 2-tiered busing system that perhaps Amanda will talk about when we kind of jump around to have the respective directors provide a report. I would also share with you then that the middle school, high school plan hybrid. So the way this works is the students are divided up into 2 groups. Group 1 will be meeting in person with their teachers Monday, Tuesday, and then they will be doing distance learning at home Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you are in group 2, you will have then distance learning Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and in-person instruction Thursday and Friday. And as Daniela indicated, we do have a number of families that have chosen the distance learning option, which means that they are doing their courses fully online for up to the first semester, and then that can be reevaluated at that time. So what I'd like to do without further ado is pass it around, because certainly many hands make light work of this. And so I'd just like to first pass it over to Michelle Krell, our Director of Teaching and Learning, so that she can provide you a briefing based upon the work that she has been in on the Safe Start Plan. Michelle?
Good evening, everyone. As Jeff mentioned, we've worked very hard to try to put together a plan that we believe is in the best interest of our students and our staff and our families. Every conversation we've had begins and ends with the health and safety of our students and our staff. And so with the revamping, we've done a lot of restructuring of our systems to accommodate the fact that we've reduced class sizes in our elementary school. We've taken our intervention teachers and plugged them into either classrooms or distance learning classrooms. And then at our middle school, high school, really looked at revamping the schedules to ensure that we're able to meet the distance learning needs that we have for students. We have about 20% of our families who have chosen distance learning at this time. So with that, in our elementary, we've chosen to assign distance learning teachers for those classes. So we have 14 distance learning elementary teachers. At our middle school level, we've taken teachers and in their schedule created blocks of time where they just have distance learning students for their core instruction. And then at a high school level, it's a little bit trickier because of the vast array of courses that students might have. And so there's a combination of distance students, teachers that have distance learning sections, and then some that manage both the in-person and the hybrid and the distance learning piece of it. So with that, we recognize that that's a big learning curve for our staff. In addition, we had shared with you that we're able to get one-to-one devices for all of our students. And so that also being able to provide the professional development along with the fact that all of our students will have devices has been something that we've worked really hard at with our workshop week schedule. So we've completely revamped our workshop week schedule. By being able to add 2 more days into our workshop week, we were able to provide some opportunities of blended learning opportunities. How do you teach in a distance learning environment? What does it look like when I'm face to face? And how do I social distance and still be able to meet the needs of our students? So we have a lot of very specific professional development that we've pushed out. We've also created some on-demand professional development for our staff. So they've been able to access some things, maybe some of our teachers that haven't been in the classroom for a few years. We've been trying to work with them on the curriculum aspect of reading and math curriculum at our elementary level. And so we've created some on-demand opportunities for staff. Our goal is to ensure that all of our staff are ready to go. And then we've created supports, ensuring that we have supports for teachers along the way to help guide and help them as we're navigating through this challenging time. So our coaches have been working extremely hard, and the teaching and learning department's been working extremely hard to provide the specific professional development and ongoing coaching and support that they need throughout this entire time. With that, you've probably seen we created a family website based on the information on the Safe Learning Plan. In addition, we also created a staff website that has a vast array of different resources, all the things that all the protocols and things like that are the COVID-19 that I know preparedness plan that Chris worked on is instant information has been really important. So our websites have been the avenue in which we were able to provide that information for staff and for families. There's a lot of things to share, but those are the highlights I think I'd like to share.
All right, thank you, Michelle. As you can imagine, there's just a whole lot of work that has gone into those plans, including totally revamping our teacher workshop schedule, which had been kind of mapped out and planned as of probably last February or March. And we had to totally revamp based upon new information. I would also then like to turn it over to Chris Pika. Obviously, this has a human resources connection as well, making sure that staff that are not able to be in the building because of other health restrictions and so on are able to provide other services. And so, and as well as a number of other things, I will turn it over to Chris to provide some comments from an HR perspective.
Hi, can everyone hear me? I'm on an old computer at home, right? Yeah, my last couple weeks have mainly been spent holding interactive meetings with employees that have requested accommodations, and we are to do so to the extent possible. I think I had about 45 people in total that we had meetings with, and we were able to work out most of the accommodations, and the principals met, and then some of the communication had to work with Bob on getting some extra PPE in the classrooms to make the teachers with some underlying health conditions feel safer and really produce a more safe environment for those teachers and staff. There's some EAs and paras as well. And then the other part is just working with Amy Jo Havelka, our nurse, our health services supervisor, on all the changes, I would say every other day, with the decision-making tree on if you have symptoms, you do this. If you have close contact, you do this. If you live with a family member, you do this. If you test positive, you do this. And it changes quite frequently. It's changed for the adults, and I think coming down the pike in the next week or so, there'll be a few changes for students, which will be better use of the negative tests and getting adults and students back into the schools. If they have symptoms and can go and get a negative test, they can get back into the schools much sooner, which will be very helpful for staffing purposes, as well as, potential for, room closures or building closures for attendance purposes. So that's been my last couple of weeks, and then negotiations as well.
Thank you, Chris. She makes it sound so easy, but it certainly hasn't been easy. But thank you, Chris, for that update. I'd like to turn it over to Amanda Heilman, our Director of Finance and Operations, to talk a little bit about how she's been working not only with student nutrition that was mentioned earlier, but certainly our transportation system, as well as other items in our district. Amanda.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, we have been working on, as Jeff mentioned earlier, the 2-tier busing system. And essentially what that means is the first tier of busing, we're going to be bringing in our secondary students along with all of our country riders. So they will come in right away in the morning. And then there will be a second tier of busing that will come in to get our elementary students. So elementary students will start at 8:25 and they will go to 2:05. So at the end of the day, our elementary students would obviously be picked up first and delivered home, and then the buses will come back in and then pick up our secondary and take them home at the end of the day. So as far as a day schedule for our secondary students, their day will remain the same as it was last year. As far as start and end times, it'll just be the elementary that we had to adjust in order to make sure that we get everyone to school safely, having to be that we have to do the hybrid model on the buses with the 50% capacity. So we've been working really hard the last 2 weeks on getting all of that figured out. And I have to give kudos to our OMS and our OHS administrators for working so hard to get all the students put into group 1 and group 2 so that we could get all of that routed. This week, letters will be going out by the end of the week for busing. So all families will be notified that had requested and are eligible for busing what their bus routes will look like. And then obviously, as Jeff mentioned, Sarah Brooks has been doing all the heavy lifting as far as nutrition services. We've been examining ways to be able to feed kids in classrooms, more creative packaging, sealers, so that we make sure we're not dropping food and making more messes to clean up as we're moving to classrooms. But we've been working really hard on getting all of that figured out to start this fall as well.
Again, Amanda, you make it sound so easy, but there is no easy button with certainly with dealing with COVID-19, but thank you for that update. And then also what we're calling is Doctor Protective Equipment. Bob Olson is going to join us to talk about his efforts, talking about PPE that's so important, as well as some of the different kind of building cleaning and disinfecting processes that he's been working through. Bob.
It's been hectic, I can tell you that, but everybody's been working really, really hard. The PPE, talking about that, yeah, we just ordered another pallet of gloves. We have cleaning supplies that are coming in, masks and shields. Actually, tomorrow, we're sending over one of our drivers over to Rochester to get the state masks and the state shields that the state of Minnesota is donating to each of the school districts. So that's coming in tomorrow. Ashley, my assistant, has asked for all numbers of teachers and staff members at each of the buildings, and on what's tomorrow, Tuesday. So on Wednesday, we'll be putting all that together and getting them out on Thursday to the buildings. And then we also have, as I talked about last time with the shields of steel, we have a bunch of, I don't know if you can see them behind me back there, but I got tons of them right behind me. Shields that if we don't have enough for everybody and they need some, well, I have some in my office as well. So never thought I'd be a guru on PPE, and I'm still not a guru on it because we're learning every day. But not only are we just going out and buying things, but some of my guys in the maintenance department are making protective barriers as well. So instead of buying plastic plexiglass barriers for a couple, $200-$300 a piece, we're going out and buying our own plexiglass and making them and then hanging them down, like Chris said, for those people that might have medical conditions that need a little more barrier. We're building those ourselves right here in-house. So I got to give kudos to our guys out in the field as well for doing a great job on that. I'm also working with the local Corey Borchert and Legacy Signs. We're going to get a whole ton of stickers to be putting down on the floors so people know where to stand, where not to stand, which way to go, things like that. I was actually out shopping with my wife this weekend. I was in one store and they have so many stickers on the floor, you don't know which way to go. So people just stop looking at them. So I kind of thought, we don't need to put as many on because you become oblivious to what's down there. So I think we're doing the right thing. While all the PPE is going on, our staff, our custodial staff, has been getting trained and training each other, and also now training the staff on what's a proper dwell time for when you spray down a disinfectant on a tabletop to make sure it stays wet for 3 minutes or 1 minute, depending on the cleaner that we're using and where we're using it. So a lot of training on that. While we're still doing that, we still have projects going on. So our maintenance department has been working over at Washington with the 4 new Stride classrooms that are over there, building some. They're calling them ice houses, but they're quiet areas where kids can go into and take a break if they need to. So we're still doing that. We've had playgrounds that we've taken care of. We got parking lots that have been resurfaced. We're continually mowing the grass. That has been a crazy grass mowing season or growing season. So while all this COVID's going on, we're still trying to do the normal things we do. Not to mention, we're about 4 staff members short right now. So we have 4 positions to fill, and the candidate pool's not real huge. So I really have to give credit to our staff that we currently have on site. They have been working their tails off all summer, and I can't be more proud of what they're doing to get our schools ready to go, to make sure our students and our staff are safe when they return. So that's all we've been doing.
Thank you, Bob. That's all. That's right. It's a lot of work. So thank you for that. We also have, there's one of the nuances within the COVID response is working with students with special education needs and how we might be able to best meet their needs. So I do see that Danielle Tice, our Director of Special Services, is on with us tonight. Danielle, would you be able to provide a few comments as to kind of some of the things that you're working on in regard to special education?
Yeah, I think that when COVID came in, we really tried to focus on connections and making sure that kids that receive services and may experience school to be more challenging in certain ways, kept those connections with their special ed staff and paras. And we worked really hard to keep the face available to them. So as we move into this, we're also going to continue with that and try to keep that sense of connectedness, but also really recognizing that this pandemic and all the issues it brings with it can make things more complicated for kids on IEPs. So really individualizing those, trying to offer tools to our special ed teachers and related service providers and paras so that they know how to use the PPE and how to really make sure that our kids that are choosing to be with us are safe and that our staff is as well. So when you're individualizing everything, we're having lots of conversations, there's lots of questions, and sometimes the answer is, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. So we're working together, and I'm really grateful for the efforts and dedication of the staff to individualize this for all of our learners.
Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate that update as well. And then certainly, last but not least, Deb McDermott Johnson, our Director of Community Education, has been working hard and providing school-age summer care for our kids all summer long, as well as many, many other opportunities. Deb, if you just give us a brief update as to community ed, early learning, and the programs that you're working with.
You bet. We just wrapped up Summer SAC, and I couldn't be more thrilled to tell you that we have been operating emergency care in Summer SAC since middle of March, and we did not have a single health breach during that time. And so we are pretty ecstatic about that, which really, as I've been meeting with each of our program teams last week and now, of course, this week, we're convinced we've got this, and that we know we can get through this school year in fine fashion. So we are obviously shifting to our school year SAC. And so we seem to be in pretty good shape there. We're learning we're going to do sign in and sign out without parents being present in the buildings. So we're working through all of those details. That's probably the biggest challenge that we're facing at this time. But, we found some opportunities along the way to really talk about why we do what we do and how we can maybe do it better, even with the pandemic in our midst. Of course, our preschools, our early childhood program are up and running. We have had a very delayed registration cycle to our preschools. It was not until the announcement that we would be doing face-to-face learning with our our early 5 group that our preschool families stepped forward and started to enroll their children in the program. Even with that, we now have actually one less section of students than we would have anticipated at this point in time, but that turned out to be a blessing because we have a number of families who are requesting distance learning. And so we will be providing that service in our preschool community as well. Our ECFE program is ready to launch. We start registering this Friday. We've adjusted our schedule so we can really monitor the traffic in our building and the flow, the size of the classrooms. So we've stretched that schedule out and think that we hope we've done enough to entice our families to come back with us for the fall. And of course, we have even an adult and family enrichment brochure that's about ready to hit the post office. It's going to be much smaller than we've seen in the past. So really very few face-to-face classes, but several online opportunities. So Lydia Yankee and her team, they are working on that, and that should be in our mailboxes here within the next few days. So, those are kind of the highlights. It's really ramping up. We're moving forward, and everyone's looking forward to getting back with our kids and the adults that we serve.
Thank you, Deb. As you can see, as we kind of went around with our different directors of programs, I'm extremely blessed and fortunate to work with such amazing, passionate, and committed individuals that have never let a barrier get in our way. We determine what those barriers are, and we find ways to remove them to provide the most quality education that our students can get. So great work. I'm proud of each of you. Thank you for that report. I'm going to pause here for just a moment. I do have a couple other items in my administrative report, but I wanted to pause to entertain if there were any board questions or comments at this time.
I have a couple. So Bob mentioned playground equipment, and that kind of brought to mind, how are you going to handle the recess and the use of playground equipment, or is that even going to be an option for our younger students?
Yeah, after talking with the rest of the Big Nine, my Big Nine colleagues and things, we are not going to be sanitizing playground equipment after everybody is out on it. The research out there shows that the touch isn't as bad as some of the other areas, and there would be no way we could continually keep up with that. After looking at it, we could sanitize it at the end of each day, but then we don't have fences to lock it down to make sure it stays that way because we have community use happening at night. So Our biggest thing that we're going to do, not only here in Owatonna, but in most of the big 9 schools, is when kids are out on the playground, they need to make sure that they go back and wash their hands with soap and water and or hand sanitizer if we have that possible. But just it's a difficult thing to make sure that it stays sanitized at all times, or not sanitized, sorry, disinfected. So that's kind of our plan.
A little bit to that, our playgrounds will be, students won't be able to be on the playgrounds in the morning before school or after school. They'll be very controlled. So the principals have identified areas for recess time, and they'll rotate those areas around. Between every day, they'll change the rotation. So it might be that only one class at a time is on the playground, so they're not mixing cohorts of students. But as Bob said, it would be really difficult for us to try to sanitize the playgrounds. And I know that our Big 9 colleagues aren't doing that. So we're really just trying to control it with the number of students and hand sanitizing before and after going out to the playground.
All right. Well, I don't envy you. Thank you for that answer. I have one additional question. So it was mentioned that there was 20% of the parents are opting for distance learning. Do we have any percentage on those families who have opted to now homeschool?
I can take that one. So we've had a I think at last count, and of course Sarah Hoffman is our key contact in the district for parents that are interested in doing homeschooling. And I believe we had about 25 students that had indicated that they were interested in homeschooling. One of the pieces that is important for families that are choosing that option is there's paperwork and clear understandings about how homeschooling is different from the distance learning option. And I think even though there may have been some initial inquiry, we're not seeing perhaps as many parents or families that are completing the paperwork and may perhaps even opting for distance learning option versus homeschool. Because again, a homeschooling requires them to provide a standardized test. The parent there becomes the teacher of record. And so they do have to submit grades that we in turn then submit to the Department of Education, as well as they need to utilize viable curriculum. We do provide some materials as families request them, but there is a limitation on the dollar amount of materials that we can provide for those families. So we've had a little more inquiry this year and perhaps a little bit of an uptick, but I would say that in the scope of things, I don't want to say negligible, but it's not as many as we would have anticipated.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions or comments?
Maybe just one quick comment. I just really applaud all of you. I am amazed at the details and the issues that you folks are surrounding. It's really astounding. I really just have a positive comment I wanted to share. I've heard from a number of colleagues, at least in my circles and place of work, where folks are really, I have asked them specifically, are you getting the information that you need? And without exception, they have all said, yes, I have. There's a lot of it. I have to read the links. I have to follow through and not just gloss over communications, but they've all said, no, it's all very clear. It's all there. I need to dig in. So thank you again. I think you're putting forth a great professional image for our district, which is always important, but I think particularly important right now. So thank you.
I just want to, I'm going to echo Lori's sentiments. And again, on behalf of the board, on behalf of the community, my thanks to the members of this administrative team. This is like running a marathon at sprint speed. From the time that school went remote back in March to today, normally we think of the summertime as an opportunity for school officials to do some recharging of the batteries and maybe look at some things that they would like to do new or different or whatever. But this has been in hyperspeed. This is amazing. And just to hear what all of you have done just in this short period of time this summer, I can't thank you enough. And so on behalf of the board, thank you for those efforts. I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Elstad.
Thank you very much. I do want to just provide another couple of pieces of commentary. on different items. One of them is kind of an unusual gift to the district that you are going to be presented with tonight for consideration of approval. We were contacted in last spring by a longtime member of our community who has since left Owatonna, but has certainly left a very philanthropic legacy within our community. Melanie Nelson, who is the former owner of the Learning Zone building in Owatonna, contacted me, as I mentioned earlier this spring, and indicated that there was something that she wanted to do on behalf of her and her love for education, as well as making sure that Owatonna, again, she was leaving that philanthropic legacy behind. What I would share with you is Melanie has so graciously decided to donate the Learning Zone building to Independent School District 761. And coming up a little later, in fact, a week from this Thursday, we're going to be hosting an open house and dedication ceremony for Melanie Nelson and all of the, again, the philanthropy that she's done in our community. But certainly this effort as well to provide an entire building for us to use. And so I would like to turn it over to Bob Olson, who is our Director of Facilities, as he's been kind of monitoring this process as it's moved forward. But in addition, can perhaps describe some of the potential utilization of the building, even though we're still kind of in shock and awe, if you will, of getting a donation like this. So Bob?
Yeah, this has been amazing. Melanie is a former teacher here in the Owatonna Public Schools as well. I don't know if Jeff mentioned that or not, but she back in the day, it was home ec or family consumer science. So it's been unbelievable what Melanie is doing for not only us, but our whole community. But this building is unique in the fact that it has some office space up in the front of the old original part of the building. And on the back side of it has the first floor has some great storage areas for like shipping and receiving. Maybe we look at moving our print shop out there. There's just a lot of ideas that are running through our heads, and we have not made decisions yet as to how we're going to use this. But the front half, the company that was there that rented it from Melanie left all of this, everything, all the cubicles and things that they need. So we have a really nice office space. So there's some pretty good unique opportunities there. Directly below that is a basement that could be used for some great storage. And they also left a lift, basically an escalator. And it's on I don't know, you put boxes on it and you don't have to carry them down the stairs. You can just push a button and down they go and up they come as well. So we are really excited about that. Maybe looking at moving our whole shipping and receiving area over there because the parking lot's now big enough where semis can come in, make a nice U-turn and back up to a loading dock that is sitting right there. Where right now, where we're down on Rose Street, it's quite interesting watching the 53-foot semis try to maneuver around there and not hit anything, and then get back and then get themselves turned around and unloaded. So above that area, that's the newer part of the building, it's wide open. So it's going to be awesome for any kind of meetings that we need to have up there. There's a kitchen that she has already built in up there as well. So it has some unique opportunities for us, and we really see some great opportunities that we have. I believe it was estimated at around or appraised at about $600,000 a few years ago. So this is not just a small gift by Melanie. This is a huge donation that she's doing, and it's going to leave quite a legacy for Melanie Nelson. So we're very happy and it's been great to work with her.
Thank you, Bob. And again, the dedication ceremony that is next Thursday, the 3rd of September at 1 o'clock over at that building, over at the Learning Zone building. And so it's been, again, quite a gift, and we can't thank Melanie enough for not only just as I mentioned, some of the philanthropy, but also just the legacy of entrepreneurship. She is really kind of what I would call the poster child for entrepreneurship, as she started a small business, found some success, and since that point has really seen things take off for her. So again, hats off to Melanie, and that will be a gift that you will be asked to consider approving at the very end of this meeting. I'd like to open it up to board members for any questions or comments you might have before I add 2 other small additional items.
just that we're inheriting a great mosaic on that building. So I don't know, there could be an art project there or some sort of inspirational outing. It's quite phenomenal. So,
Yes, that was an interesting aside. So I believe it's on the north side of that building. A mosaic was created by two Owatonans, Steve Delich and Scott Duffus, created that. And that will actually be highlighted at the dedication ceremony as well. So again, two Owatonans showing off their artistic ability as well, based on some really cool ideas behind it. So that'll be, I don't want to steal the thunder from their time with perhaps people on next Thursday. So. Other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to jump into two other additional topics that won't be quite as lengthy. The first one is that this is workshop week. And so all of you as board members are invited to tune into our virtual school openings ceremony on Wednesday morning. I will be providing some brief remarks at about 8 a.m. And then Tom Murray, who is a motivational speaker, will be presenting from approximately 8:30 until about 9:45 there or thereabouts. So you are certainly welcome to be part of that. And so I believe the virtual links were sent out to you with the workshop schedule. And so you can certainly take part in that as you see fit. The last item is something that I'm pretty happy to report. So based upon the Department of Health guidelines, it has been deemed that as a school board, we would be able to meet in person on Monday, September 14th for our work session. A couple of things you need to know. We have tested the capacity of the boardroom space. We only have enough room for the board members, the superintendent, the board assistant, Sarah Hoffman, and Daniela Ortiz, our student representative, as well as one or two additional speakers that would have to rotate into the space. So we have to be very careful about the numbers. But we are able to socially distance in this space and wear masks when not presenting. And so I will be working with both Mark as chair and Lori as vice chair to iron out the logistics of how we come back together on Monday, September 14th for a work session. We will still be live streaming all of our meetings as well, because we are able to use our current camera system for that purpose. And we affirm that today with our technology and innovation staff. So again, we'll plan for an in-person meeting on Monday, September 14th. And moving forward, we will do the same. Unless there's an event where we would need to go back into a lockdown again as a community. So those are that's rather long administrative report tonight, but I felt it was necessary to provide some detail for you on some of the items, because it has been quite a bit of work. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Sebring.
Thank you. As we move on to item 7, which is the consent agenda, I would be quick to remind the folks that we are able to pull any particular item out that we would like. Otherwise, we would proceed with the normal consent agenda approach. Does anybody have any feelings as though we want to pull any particular item? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Eric, I will turn it over to you for the roll call.
Mark,
Aye.
Nikki,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Jolene,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Lori,
aye.
and I myself's an aye. 7-0 pass.
That motion carries. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 8, which would be several items that board needs to take action on. The first item, item A, would be the ratification of the 2022 tentative agreement with the educational staff, assistant staff. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad.
Thank you, Chair Sebring, members of the board. So tonight, we are bringing to you a tentative agreement with our educational assistant staff. And what I would do is at this time, turn any questions that you might have over to Chris Peak, our Director of Human Resources, if there are any questions.
Okay, hearing none. I will then make the motion that the board approve the 2020 through 2022 agreement with the educational assistant staff and authorize the chair and the clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the school board. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Eric, I'll ask you to do the roll call.
Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
And I myself's an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. Second item tonight would be the Truth and Taxation hearing date. Amanda Heilman, I will turn things over directly to you for this.
Yep, as required by law, each year we are required to hold a truth and taxation meeting to go through our property tax levy. So we are going to be scheduling that for December 14th at 6:00 p.m. this year.
Any questions for Amanda on this? Okay, hearing none. I will move that the board approve the designation of December 14th, 2020 as the truth in taxation hearing date and formal approval of the tax levy.
Second.
We have a second, motion and a second. Eric, one more time for a roll call, please.
Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
I myself's an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Final item tonight under board action would be the gifts to the district. I'll turn things over one last time to Mr. Elstad.
Thank you very much. Just want to point out some gifts to you tonight. We have a larger gift from the Music Boosters for new xylophones at Washington Elementary in the amount of $1,149. We have an anonymous donation of $250 to, in fact, try to erase some of our negative meal account balances for students. And also the Washington PTO for donating $575 to Washington for those, again, xylophones. And then lastly, the aforementioned Learning Zone building valued at just over $600,000 at the last evaluation of that property from Melanie Nelson. So I would turn those back over for your consideration.
I just wanted to quickly add, last week when Jeff and Bob and I had an opportunity one last time to walk the building with Melanie and take it all in. It's quite an attractive property. It's really going to serve the school district very, very well. Any other board comments relative to gifts? Okay, I will make the motion that the board approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second.
We have a second. Eric, if you would, please.
Yep. Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
I myself's an aye. 7-0 pass.
That motion carries. And lastly, tonight, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have the motion and second. Eric, one last time, please.
Yep. Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
And I myself's an aye. 7-0 pass to adjourn.
That motion carries. Look forward to seeing all of you in person in September as we get back together. I think that'll be nice. With that, everyone have a pleasant evening.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.